So in this video, Stephen A. Smith showed up on The View. And Stephen A. Smith is one of those black men that aren't afraid to call out on the bullshit, stand their ground, and argue on the facts. So I don't know what the ladies expected when they invited him to the show, but he went out there and I must say he cooked. That's what I can tell you. And right about now, that's what I want us to go through and see how it all went down.
Welcome back. ESPN Stephen A. Smith always gives us his candid opinion no matter what the topic is, which fits in well at this table. Please welcome commentator and executive producer of ESPN's First Take, Stephen A. Smith.
It's wonderful to see y'all, ladies. How you doing?
What's the A for? I must
Anthony.
Anthony. Oh, Anthony.
Anthony, yes. Yes.
Anthony.
Well, Stephen, welcome back. Well, Stephen, I want to talk about you for a minute.
Yes.
Your name was recently floated as a potential presidential candidate in 2020 for the Democrats.
Right.
Can I play a clip? You had some pretty tough words.
If you're the Democrats, that's why Stephen A. Smith is in the news. Because y'all don't have anybody. You don't have anybody. Who you got? I'm not in the news because I'm here. I'm in the news because the Democratic Party is here. Damn it, lower than that. Down at the bottom. They suck right now. Horrible. Because they don't have a voice. Where the hell is the voice?
Don't hold back.
That is quite a voice you've got. I mean, right now, in the polls, you're nearly tied with Pete Buttigieg, AOC, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. You have a higher favorability than John Fetterman and Vice President Harris. What do you make of this?
I make of it that citizens, particularly on the left, are desperate. And I mean it when I say it. I think I can beat them all. And I have no desire whatsoever to run for office. I am not a politician. I am not qualified. But I know this much. When you consider who's on the other side and how he's gotten away with saying very little in terms of being coherent and articulating his thoughts clearly and concisely and what have you. This is not something that he's known to do. Yet and still, he has owned the Republican Party since 2015. Not only has he won the Republican constituency,
That's a lie. That's a lie. I mean, that everything he's doing or everything he's saying, he's been saying this for the past 30 to 40 years. I mean, you have to look way back in the 80s. The things he used to speak about are the same things he's speaking about right now. To say that the man doesn't know how to articulate or says little, that's a lie, Stephen A.
said we don't want anybody else but him. We didn't want DeSantis. We didn't want Haley. We didn't want Christie. We didn't want Ramaswamy. We didn't want DeSantis. We didn't want anybody. We want him.
What does that say about the Republican Party?
It's not about what it says about the Republican Party. It's about what it says about the Democratic Party.
Why?
Boom. Thank you. Okay, you say he's a terrible human being. He did this, he did that, but yet the American people voted for him. What does that say about the other side? If they voted for the person that you consider to be the worst human being ever, you need to check yourself. What does that say about you when somebody says, I would rather go with a criminal rather than going with you? These are the questions that they don't ask themselves. And Stephen A. showed what happens when a real strong black man is in the building.
Because in the end, if you think about him being impeached twice, 34 felony counts or 34 felony convictions, and they still elected him president, it's not about him winning. It was an indictment against the Democratic Party and what the Democrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, look at Sunny. She don't like what he's saying, even though at the core of her heart she knows everything is true. But she hates it. And this is the problem, because if you can't take the time to reflect and look yourself into the mirror and correct yourself, I mean, these are basic things. Like you fail, go back on the drawing board, figure out what you did wrong, what you did right. Nowhere you can change. But these people are literally saying there is nothing to change. They did everything they could and they would do it again. And keep doing that again.
Democratic Party was offering the American citizens. We might sit up there and talk about, hey, you should be a party for the working class, which the Democratic Party was once known for. They're not known for that right now. Why? Because their message was catering towards others and towards other issues. And they forgot about the people that brought them there, that elevated the Democratic Party to what it was over these last few decades. That's why they lost. He didn't win.
Well,
The
let's
Democrats
remind
lost.
people what those issues were.
Sure.
Let's remind people what those issues
We can do that.
were. Making sure that families had what they need, making sure stuff is there, making sure that the America that we all grew up in, where you could come and be whoever you were supposed to be or want to be, you still have that right. All these things are the things that the Democrats have always said. But now we have a guy who says, yeah, I'm going to bring down the price of eggs. But first, I'm going to cut all these jobs, and I'm not going to see why they need to be cut. I'm just going to cut them. Because I'm going to put people in. Well, that's what he's doing. He's doing all
And alienate all our friends around the world.
But I don't like this thing where they focus so much about these federal cuttings, like, the people that have been cut out of the federal government, because we all know the bigger the government gets, the more expensive it becomes. And the more expensive it becomes, the more pain as citizens feel, the taxpayers, because the government is funded by taxpayers. So the more you expand the government, that means you're applying more pressure, more pain, more misery on the taxpayer. This is what people need to understand, because I don't understand why we make a big deal about, they cut, employees, and we need to save the government some money. We are in debt, we are in deficit, all those things. I don't know how these people propose we do that, because as much as they argue and try to fight this, they're not offering any other alternative. And that's the problem. So now they run around and try to convince you, oh, they are cutting off people. These people have families. These people have, they've been working these jobs and relying on these jobs. Yes, it happens in the private sector. We see that all the time. And nobody talks about it. People are cut off every day. But
talking about what he's doing. But before you brought that up, you brought up the message that the Democratic Party was disseminating. I'm challenging you on that. That is not what they were doing. I'm not talking
yes,
about,
it was.
I'm not talking
I
about
was
the
here.
intent.
We did it.
I was here too. I was alive and breathing right here on the air talking to everybody else. The bottom line is this. You're Joe Biden.
They are so quiet. I can't believe this. They are very quiet because they don't even know what to say. They didn't expect this. And it is so funny because they don't like pushback. They never get this. It makes them uncomfortable because they don't have serious arguments. They can't defend everything they say. Once they get somebody that can challenge them, that's where you start hearing crickets. They are so down. Oh my God, these are the ladies of The View.
You open borders. Now remember, Barack Obama deported more people than Trump did.
Yes.
You know what he didn't do? He didn't stick out his chest and bloviate about it. He just did it.
Yeah.
What does Joe Biden do? Who is a Democrat? Who's the vice president under Barack Obama? He opens borders. Over 12 plus million people entered the country. You had stuff going on in the streets. There was a migrant crisis here.
That he's the reason that there is a migrant crisis?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
saying. I'm saying he contributed. I'm saying he contributed to it. But the biggest point I'm making.
What's the difference? He is in charge. I mean, am I missing something? He's not the reason, but he contributed. Who was the top guy? He is the reason as to why that crisis happened, because he opened up the borders. That was the policy. This issue is so big, so bigger than, we see on the surface, the immigration issue. It's not even about pushing people out, but it's about the underlying facts. There is so much going on that you can't even understand. But this business of saying he's not responsible for who? Because for all we know, I mean, let's listen.
Took the key and just opened up a door?
He just took. Well, that's part of it. Even the Democrats say. Democrats say they did.
Yeah, that's why she came down for it. She's being sarcastic in her Sunny Hostin sarcastic ways. Oh, you're saying he took the key and opened up the door? Like, what the?
Hold on to that, because I want to make sure that we can come back with enough time.
Sure.
More with Stephen A. Smith when we come back. Who has the next question? You do, Joy.
So Trump's only been in office for 6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And he's been going around with his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever, and he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right.
Say that again. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. Democrats didn't win no single swing state, not even one. Most blue states shifted red. And we don't care about the difference in numbers or whatever. You might have done something to kind of, inflate those numbers. But the real issue here is the point is making. These people are still lying to themselves, making themselves feel good.
That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win.
I like how Alyssa, I'm telling you, she still has, she's a moderate. I'm quite sure about that. She's a moderate. And the way she goes about her business, I really like how she goes about it. Though, most of the time she has to, play along the choir. But when you listen to her speak and the way she raises her points, there is some sense there. The rest of the crew, oh my God, this is uncomfortable. They don't even know why they invited him. At this point, they want to cut the show short.
The popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won the popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it, 89% of the counties shifted gears. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
What's a different definition of a mandate, I guess?
There is a different definition of a mandate, I guess. Like, what? I mean, these people are supposed to be educated, but man. Yeah. That was a drop mic, and he dropped it so hard. They can't even, this is what they need. To make this show interesting, they need somebody that can come there and check their insanity and give it to them the way it's supposed to be. But, yeah, there is a way they like their show to go. They like to be in a comfort zone and all this kind of stuff. This is how it works. We're not supposed to agree all the time. We're not supposed to be on the same side all the time. We can always agree to disagree. I mean, I don't have to believe everything you're saying, but it doesn't mean that we're supposed to hate each other just because we don't agree on certain things.
The problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
Some people didn't
we should continue to do that.
Right. And let them continue to do that. Yeah, let them continue to do that, because that is one way of saying that I'm not going to change. So if you failed, you lost, but you can't even try to understand why you lost, and you're still adamant that, you did everything you're supposed to do. It's just some unfair forces and misogyny and racism. What?
Don't continue to do that. Find a new strategy.
But do you think those groups, the black voters, the Latino voters, and the others that you mentioned, are they going to regret it soon?
Possibly. I think so. I don't like what I'm seeing from Trump. I didn't like what I saw with Zelensky. I didn't like what I saw with a few things. But in the end, I didn't like it. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. The American people, in their eyes, it wasn't about him. They were voting against what the Democrats were throwing in their direction. I not only talked to Cuomo, I did interview Eric Adams. I did interview Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. I interviewed these people. I've talked to them, and I'm going to talk to some more of them, too. And I'm going to say the same message. What are you doing to win? I love Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. I love John Kerry of Pennsylvania, okay? I just interviewed Cuomo. I like him a lot. I want somebody to step up and recognize that man in the Oval Office, whether you like it or not, is potent. He's coming and he wins. You got to find a way to beat him. This way is not the way that the Democrats are doing it.
The way they are going, the divisiveness and the race baiting and all this kind of stuff, it's not working. They try to tarnish his name. They try to throw him, behind bars and all these things with the legal battles. It's not working. You need to change the messaging. If you want to compete, change the messaging. And this is what happened during the campaign, because the Democrats were busy going after Trump instead of articulating their agenda in what they are planning to do for the American people. So the American people never got that message. All they saw is these people hell-bent on destroying the other individual. That is so insulting to the American people, because if you're saying we can't even allow him to run, that means you don't even trust the people to make a right choice. You're not giving them that. Because we saw this, some states trying to take him off the ballot box. What? What type of democracy is that? And you think the Americans are not watching? Yeah, you can say, I see how, Stephen A. Smith is trying to kind of wrap it up and show them that I'm still on your side by, throwing in a few ingredients there. But yeah, the bigger picture, it's going badly for the Democrats, and they need to sort it out real quick. And the way they're going about their messaging and everything they are trying to do right now, it's becoming more of an embarrassment.
Talk about how people are feeling about his performance, because a CNN poll this week found that 52% of people disapprove of Trump's performance in office so far. So even though he may have won the general election by less than 50%, 52% disapprove of what he's doing. We're also seeing Republican voters at town halls opposing his executive overreach, giving Elon Musk the shadow president.
Yeah, these organized paid activists that, go on and busting. This is what I don't understand about the left, because these people claim to be the people of peace, love, and inclusion and all that kind of stuff, but all violence comes from their side. When they don't agree with you, they just want to destroy you. You don't see that with the right, attacking shops and establishments, burning stuff and breaking stuff. You don't see that on the right. That is stuff you see on the left. Why is it that when we don't agree with people, all we can think of resorting to is violence? Like, why is it? In these numbers she's breaking down, she's reading from a different number. That is a totally different number. We can dispute that.
Yet you said, quote, Trump is closer to normal than what we're seeing on the left.
Yeah, I was talking about why he won the election.
So?
When I made that statement, I was talking about, that was before the election.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
So when during the election, I said, in the immediate aftermath of the election, I pointed out he was voted for because they considered him closer to normal than what the Democrats were spewing. That was what I said at that particular
Exactly.
moment in time. Now, obviously, Elon Musk is an entirely different matter altogether.
Right.
This man is not an elected official. He hasn't been confirmed by the Senate or anything, but he's got an inordinate amount of power.
Given to him by Trump.
I can understand how that could scare the living daylights out of folks, and the approval ratings. Obviously, we pay attention to that. But here's the bigger question. Who on the Democratic side are the American people pointing to and saying that's the person?
Well,
they don't have anybody yet.
We're 6 weeks in with
National Voice.
Right. We're 6 weeks in with who. Everybody said let him do what he's doing so we can see what's going on. So, and now people are saying, well, what are you going to do as a Democrat? Well, wait a minute now. Y'all didn't want to hear what we had to say as Democrats because that wasn't what people voted for. True. So now we have a clear definition, and the American people will decide how they like what he's doing, because now it's affecting in a way that people were not anticipating. People who didn't think they would be affected, like the folks who work in the federal government, they never saw this coming.
It is so funny because most of these things, I don't know if it's something wrong with my ears, because there is a whole lot of contradiction there. Well, now you're saying the man has just got in power 6 weeks, let's give him time. But then again, you're challenging everything he's doing. But then again, you're saying, this is not yet time for us to come up with a plan. It's still too early. Then, wait, it is too early for you to come up with a plan, a counter plan. But then again, it's too late to start judging him. 6 weeks, And the man is still trying to fix the problems that you left behind. And we are judging him by 6 weeks. And guess what? The American people like what they're seeing. It's y'all that don't like it. I don't know. I mean, somebody help me here.
And
They
people can't
never
make
saw this
omelets
come. Sorry
anymore.
about that. People can make omelets. Everybody doesn't need eggs. We, of course, will be right back. And at some point, I'm sure Brian...
So this is what I'm saying. Thank God that this gentleman showed up, because this is kind of like a lion's den. And this man just showed up and ate. He cooked and ate. I mean, I can see, a few sprinkles here and there because he needs to, you can't just sweep the whole room. He needs to kind of give them more points and make them feel good. And, there are things I don't like and this and that. But these people are just fighting everything that's going on. And my issue is that everything that we've seen so far, or everything the man has done so far, is everything he ran on. He said everything on the campaign trail, everything he's doing. But for some reason, we're supposed to fight that because it's not correct. They didn't fight it on the campaign trail. And how about the people that voted for those things? Can we respect them? I mean, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget the notification bell so you get notified on every single video that we put out there. Like I said, we just want to have a dialogue. The issue is to try to be contributors to our country because, we all benefit from the success of this country. I mean, despite being an immigrant, I really do appreciate this country. It's given me so much more. My wife is American. My daughter is American. So this country is etched on my heart for the rest of my life. So it hurts me when I see all these things going on, and I want to see that I add my perspective to it. The channel is called A Different Perspective. Till we meet next time, peace and love. Stay blessed.